Hi everyone. So here is my follow-up video after I was creating gel printed pages, and I spent a couple of days just playing with my gel plate because that's what I do when I get into that. I love it, and so I just make a whole bunch of pages and just play and sling paint around, and I love it. So I have a bunch of pages that I've done and printed on both sides with the idea of putting together a booklet. And so now I'm taking those gel printed pages, some of the pages that I offloaded my brayer onto, some collected pages I've gotten from books and magazines and different languages even. This is an old book pages that I used. If you saw my video where I did my back wall in my bedroom in old book pages, some of these pages are from those books that I have on hand. So I'm just putting all of these together into signatures. I'm going to have 4 signatures in this book. Each signature is going to have all different kinds of paper in it, different thicknesses, sizes, everything. And so that's what gives it that junk journal look. And I love that. I think it's going to be a real freeing kind of book to play in. So this is what it's going to look like. Now, if when I start working on it and I put more things on it, then it might get a little thicker. But the cover is going to be a cereal box. And so I'm just going to take it apart. I'm going to cut it down a little bit because I want it to be just about the size or just a little bit bigger than my biggest pages. And I go back, one of the pages that you see there that's sticking out, that piece of wallpaper, I end up trimming it down a little bit in the end so it just doesn't stick out so much more than the others. I don't mind. I don't want them all to be perfect, but anything that sticks out that far is just going to get messed up. You know, it's going to get bent and torn and eventually maybe even come off. So anyway, I mark what I want for my box. I use one end of the box is going to be my spine, and I get rid of the rest. But that spine is going to be much too thick for what I need. And I'm not a big fan of these scissors. I don't know what my Creative Memory scissors are because they cut straighter than any scissors I've ever used anywhere. And if you've ever had a pair, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I go back though and trim this up even some more. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these together, and I am going to do a 3-hole signature. I'm going to put I have a hole punch. Let me show you what that looks like. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. I have a Japanese screw punch somewhere. I might end up getting that out with a wood board. I might make this faster and easier. But if you just get a little needle punch, you can do that too. And you go down through. You have to allow for your smaller pages. So with that in mind, I might just do 2. Because, yeah. Or I do 3 closer together. That's what I may do for stability. And it may go off of some pages. You know, some pages may not make the cut and a hole may be off. I think it'll be all right though. So, yeah. So I'm going to go through and measure. In fact, I'm going to make myself a little template guide. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, and that way I can use this on each book. And so make myself a little template. This is about halfway. Again, I'm not going to get nuts with all this. Let's do one there. And there. Now I can put this up against my spine, and I can mark boom, boom, boom. And then I can use this on the rest of my signatures. Okay, so let me see if this is going to go through. I may get out my Japanese screw punch, but let's see. Just want to make sure that you place your fingers to the other side of where that's going to come through. See, it's going through. Just hold your spine together. Alright, now we've made that hole. Try to keep everything. everything together till I hit this next one and do the same thing. Keep everything together with this thumb while I pull this out, and I go into the next one. Now here's something that I'm going to go do before I take this needle out. I'm going to go get a few toothpicks to put through there so I can go ahead and do all my holes, but I don't have trouble lining all these holes back up, because that would be a pain. So hang on. So I was not able to find toothpicks in my cabinet. They're not something I use very often. I thought I had some, but I didn't want to waste any more time looking for them when I have bamboo skewers that will do the same job. So I was going to break them off, but you know what? I don't even need to do that. There we go. Really, I probably only need to put one in, but I'm just going to go ahead and do 3. There. That way it just keeps them all together until I'm ready to sew them in. Okay? Here's my template. My next set of pages. And away we go. And I'm just eyeballing it from here to here. It's a junk journal. I love the freedom that allows me. It does not have to be absolutely perfect like a bookbinder would do. Alright, so I think I'm going to start right in the middle. And start pushing. Easy enough. Yeah, this needle punch is very easy. I don't need my Japanese screw punch for this. I'm not sure I could put my hands on it really quick anyway. So I bought this little punch, this little needle punch, very inexpensive, like, I don't know, $5 at Michael's a few weeks ago, because I knew I was going to be creating little signatures out of watercolor paper for the kids at the camp that I taught at, to teach them some, you know, just very basic art journaling. Unfortunately, unless they wanted to come back during their free time, I really only got each child for 1 hour for the whole week. You just can't get into something like this with just 1 hour. So what I did was I taught them, the first thing we did is we did free writing. And that scared them to death until I assured them that I wanted them to write in a way that no one could read it. Something no adult will probably ever tell them again. But they were to scribble their thoughts just as fast and furiously as they could for 2 minutes. Everything they thought, just put it down. And that's a great technique that I use quite often when I'm feeling anxious, scared, angry. Sometimes if I just write everything down, sometimes I don't even know why I'm feeling that way. But if I will sit and do that technique and just write everything down that goes through my mind for 2 or 3 minutes, I usually go more than 2 minutes. I did that for them because they looked like deer in headlights when I told them we were going to journal. And journal thoughts and feelings. Oh my gosh, they looked pitiful. But, you know, by the end of a few minutes doing that, I've got a better handle on why I'm angry or scared or whatever it is. And you can deal with the feelings if you know what they are. But sometimes we have this uneasy feeling and we're not even really sure why until we just get it out. And then I gave them paint and had some other things available to them to cover over it, or let some of the writing show through, because again, you know, I had them write in a way that no one could read it. And so they seem to enjoy it. I wish I'd had more time with them to teach them some different art techniques to do with it. But it was well received, so I'm happy about that. And I encourage them to try that practice anywhere, anytime. It's just a really even good daily practice to do. Okay, so this is my last one. So I quickly do the holes in my last signature. And you get going at this, it gets pretty quick. And I like the way the skewers worked. They kept everything nice and organized and stable for me. So I'm just putting together the binder, I guess, for this project. And I'm using my Yoo-Hoo glue stick, my favorite. So I'm going to leave this just a few minutes. It won't take too long for this glue to dry. And while that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and prep some other things that I need to do to get ready to do this. Okay, so I have glued my spine together, my cereal box, okay? And I don't want to just set this down willy-nilly and mark. This is my tallest signature, so I want to make sure that it falls, you know, somewhat within the confines of the book. I mean, I really don't care. It's a junk journal. I don't care if it spills out a little bit, but I'm just trying to get it a little centered. So then I'll have it where I want it, and I'll slide the guide to where it is. Then I can move this, and now I can make my marks. I want to be about halfway between here and here, which is about here. So I'll put these down, and then I can always gauge the middle a little better. So I might actually measure something. So it had been a while since I had made a book, and when I first laid this down and began, I forgot I needed to make 4 columns of three dots. The reason is I have 4 signatures, and they're not going to all go in and out of the same holes in the spine. So I need 4, I was going to say rows, but it would be columns. I need 4 columns of those 3 dots along that spine so that I can sew my signatures in. And you'll see in a minute why I say that. So once I get my dots marked, I'm going to have 4 punches I'm doing at each level along the spine. And that needle punch is great. I mean, it was not an expensive tool, but it does the job. So I love how fast and easy it is. Always watch your fingers. I've never had trouble though, because you can feel where the punch is going to come out. So you just make sure you put your fingers on either side. So my next thing is to sew my signatures together. Now I found a couple. I probably have more stuff around here, but I found a couple of things. This is some translucent beading cord. And it's really too thin, I think, for the type of book that I'm doing here. It's very rustic junk journal. I found this kind of jute twine, I guess. It's thinner than that thicker rope that you would get at the Dollar Tree. And I don't even know where, honestly, that I got this. I've had it for a while, but this is what I used to put the journals together at the kids' camp. And it worked fine. Again, it's a junk journal. It's not going to be super tight. That's fine. And I like the appeal of, I don't know, a little more country look to it. I like that. So, what I want to do here is I'm going to pull out the middle one. And I'm going to put my needle through, and I'm going to pull it until I have enough sticking out to tie in a knot. I can always pull some off, so I'd rather have a little more than a little less. Now I'm going to move this one, holding my hand to keep this all together, and then I'm going to go in the back through that hole in the spine. So I've pulled a little knot. Okay. So I still want to hold this. Now I'm going to take this and go back down through the center one. Because, well, you'll see. Okay. And now I'm going to pull this skewer out, make sure these pages are together, hold it with my thumb here, keeping it all together. And come back through that side. You see how it looks back there? Here's where I want to snug it down. And I want to tie it off here in the middle. You can tie it off different places. You can tie it off here, then the next one tie it here, so you don't have all the bulk in the same place if it's a bulkier thread like this. So, trying to get them as snug as I can, but I don't want to tear my paper either, so. There. Now I simply cut off the excess. There. Not hard. Alright. So now I'm ready to do the others just like it. And because these holes, I went all the way through with my needle to this thicker point, I didn't just poke this in because I didn't want it just big enough for just this needle. I wanted it big enough for this to go through a couple of times and to go through again to hook it into there. So the holes are going to be big enough for that. So let me get these other signatures done and then I'll put it together. Okay, so what I've done here now is I used my same little template, okay, and I started, my glue's coming up a little bit, so I'm probably going to tape that down here in a minute between the holes. But I started with, knowing I had 4 signatures, I want to put 4 holes across at the 3 places. So this would be for 1 signature, then I moved it 2 signatures, 3rd signature, 4th signature. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I just put some extra glue on here, but I need to add some reinforcement. Normally I would go ahead and decorate my cover and everything, but because I'm doing this video, I'm not going to take the time to do that, and it's a junk journal, so I don't mind getting things a little messy. And I'm going to do just a nice long line on the back too. It went over a couple of the holes, but that's alright, it'll punch through. Boink, boink, done. Okay. So now I'm going to start with my first signature, and I think I'll do it at the back. So again, I'm going to go through, let's see how I want to do this. I think I'm going to do this to tie to the outside. So to do that, I want to go in from the back first and then into that middle one. And then I'll go down through there and into that first one. Okay, then I'm going to go back through that one. And then down through this, and then into that last hole. Okay, let's see. Now, let's see if I can do this standing up. There's probably a million different ways to do this. Better than mine. I'm not a professional bookbinder by any means. But I love the fact that this is a junk journal because it gives me a lot of leeway to be messy, screw up, and less than perfect measurements. Alright, time for my second signature. Now what I may do is on the next one, go to this side. So I'll do a couple so that my knots are different places along the spine. I think that might look kind of cool. I don't know. But let me go ahead and get the other one started. This one's in now. I think I'm going to make that from the front one. So let me do this one. So remember, instead of going through this way, because wherever the first place you start going in is where your knot's going to be. So I want my knot on the outside. So I'm going to go in now. I'm working on the second row of holes. So I want to go in there. And then into, let me get this where I can see where my hole is. There we go. About that much. So I want to go through the signature and look for that second set of holes in. That's where I'm going. That's about how much I want. Maybe a little less. I don't need to waste so much. I can tie a knot. There we go. Now I'm going to go back through that center. Right there. Alright, you see it's pulled away a little bit, so let me pull this taut so it's easier to find the hole through my signatures and my papers. Here it goes. I'm going to hold that. Pull that taut. I'm going to go through here and into that second set of holes. And I'm going to tie. I'm not going to really worry about where the knots are on the back of this thing. I may offset them just a little bit. Okay. Oop, hit that a little bit. It's all right. It's a junk journal. All right. I may have to, yeah, I'm going to need a little bit more thread. I try to put enough length so that I don't have to keep rethreading during each portion of the project. Okay, so I'm going to go in this second from this side set of holes. Open this, whoops. See, that's going to be upside down, or the doll face is going to be upside down. I don't really care. I'm probably going to cover it over it, but I'm going to put the dolls right side up and the map upside down. Okay. So now I want to go to my middle hole. Whoops, pulled it too far. There we go. This is the hardest part, is coming up through, but you can do it. You just always want to make sure you're checking to make sure you're going through the right hole. I'm not going at the last one yet, next to the last one. Okay, go ahead and unthread that. And then I just tie it. It's hard to do at this angle because I'm trying to get it on camera, but my threads are coming untwined too. That's not helping. So I just need to do this in my lap. Sorry, guys. So I really didn't leave myself enough to easily tie that. I got it done. So here's what I have learned and what I will pass on to you. Go ahead and leave yourself about that much tail. It just makes it easier. It's not expensive stuff, and you can cut off the excess, but it makes it easier to tie if you've got more than just that little bit I left myself that time. All right, so I'm ready to do my last signature, and I am done. But I do need to rethread some more. I think I have enough of this. Hopefully this piece will work. Find my middle. Okay. And I'll leave myself that much. Now, when I push it back through that way, it makes this move out a little bit, you see? So what I want to do is, as I'm pulling that through, I'm going to pull this, oops, not that much. So I'm pulling it against, away from each other to make it taut. Last one. I'm going to leave the needle in it because sometimes that helps you tie the knot, because it's easier to put the needle through. So I'll hold it down like that, take that through. Before I pull that knot, though, I want to hold it down again. I need to hold it tight against me. Sorry, guys. There we go. And if you leave a needle thread in your... Actually, I'm going to put it onto this. That way I can just have the needle right there with my thread for the next time. Okay, so there it is, guys, my newest junk journal. Now I can always trim this a little bit, because you can see, and I don't mind this sticking out, and I might do that so it's not quite so wide, because it gets more floppy as it gets wide. But I'm going to put some coats of paint on here. But yeah, I think I am going to trim this up a little bit. I like that because I like the pages sticking out. Not a perfectly straight edge. I can't decide if I care or not, but I am going to straighten it just a little bit. It's a junk journal. I've done very careful like book binding with people before. Somebody better than me in it. It's very exact measuring and all that, and it's nice not to have to do that, especially since I don't do this very often. So now what I'm thinking is I might also trim off. I don't want it quite as tall either. So I'm going to trim some of this up. Because I'm wanting my cover to be about the same as my pages. I don't want it a whole lot bigger. And we'll go a little bit this way. Alright, there we go. This is still going to bother me. These are not my favorite scissors. Sorry, Tim Holtz. They're not. The best scissors I own are Creative Memories scissors. They do very straight work. These might be good for just cutting out little small pictures and stuff. But for cutting long lengths straight, they're not my favorite. Okay, finally. Good enough for me. Yeah, and I like the way things stick out a little bit. That's fine. Not a problem. So this is my new junk journal. So look for me to start doing some videos working on the pages in here. The first video I will do will be probably doing my cover because the crispy oats is going to drive me just a little crazy. So I hope you'll see that, you know, binding a journal is not as hard as you think it is, and there's so many different ways to do it. But this took me less than an hour to put together all these signatures and put them into the book. So give it a try, and I'll follow up with some videos on working on the pages inside. Thank you for joining me. So hey, if you will, please give me a thumbs up on this. It helps me rank so that when people look on YouTube, this video will show up for them. And if you're interested in seeing more or seeing when I start working on these pages, then you need to hit that subscribe button. And if you'll hit the little bell next to it and tell that you want to see all of the updates, it will update you each time that I add a video. Give you just a quick little notification. You can go to it or not, but it'll at least let you know when I've uploaded something that you might be interested in. And as always, leave me a comment and share with a friend. So I would love to get more viewers, and I'd like to hear more comments about what you like, what you don't understand, and maybe what you would like to see me do. And thank you so much for joining me. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.